All right, how's it going, everyone? It's Nick Atkin here. It's the One Championship Podcast. It's the Monday show. How you all doing? I'm back, after a long weekend. Fun weekend in Hong Kong. A little bit slow getting going this Monday, but there was some big news. We did not get to cover last. When was it? Wednesday I spoke to you. Yes, 1173 is now official. That news broke, I think it was Friday morning or something, because I covered the Chattery Post. I think that was Thursday. And then when the news dropped, I think it was Friday. So we haven't spoken about it yet. We will talk about it today. That is basically the theme of this show. We're going to talk about the news. We're going to think of some potential big matchups to discuss for that card. And we'll cover anything else in between that's happened over the last few days. I will be joined by the piss master himself, Peter Miller, who you all know, I'm sure, as Condition Nutrition, the man who saves the card every month for one championship. Yeah, he will be here. I'm sure he's going to have some fighters in Japan on that card. And, well, here he is. I'm bringing him in. What's up? Hello, Peter. How are you doing?
Yes, mate. How are we doing?
Good, yeah. Good. How was the weekend?
All right, mate. Didn't do a lot. Just working. Got a foul mouth twice.
I had one last when I was there, the Friday before Olympiani. But I got the buttermilk. It was no good. I got to go back to the mild, I think.
You got to go for the medium, mate. The medium is the one. That with
I have problems with the medium. It just fucks me up so bad. Yeah, I can't handle it. It's so spicy.
That with extra honey mustard. That's like my penchant.
It's very good. If you don't know what we're talking about, it's fried chicken. I think it's Nashville style or something. It's in Tong Lo where Pete lives, and I often go there when I'm in town. It's a fancy place called the Commons. A lot of the hip people hang out there, like Pete.
I've never actually eaten it. I've always grabbed it.
Oh, really?
Sat down and eaten.
It's quite far. It's down the road. You got to walk about 15, 20 minutes from the BTS station, and it's hot, So I always walk and I turn up in a puddle of sweat. Then I get some really spicy chicken, and not a great combo. But yeah, what's up, everyone? Official Lewis, what's good? Yeah, we're all good. Hopefully some more of the members in the house today. Anonymous, I see there as well. Is hydration? Is throwing the question in straight away? I don't know if you want to save this, Pete, for later, or you want to just jump off it now.
Hydration session truly fair? Could some people have a natural drink compared to others? Well, I think everybody knows that the hydration test is a flawed test. But the way I look at it is like it's part of what you sign up for one championship. You have to do a hydration test, so you have to figure out how to pass it. So it's like you've just got to do what you got to do. As people got a natural genetic advantage with the hydration testing, not really. Like the hydration testing can be influenced by like your muscle mass. Like bigger guys tend to have more concentrated urine. But I'll go like too detailed on that. So like a bigger guy could potentially, what's the word for it? Be more prone to fail in the test rather than someone who's smaller without doing the kind of methods to pass it. If that makes any sense. Probably doesn't. But you've probably seen it yourself, haven't you, at weigh-ins where like the big guys, the big, massive, muscular heavyweights and lightweights and stuff, they're very prone to fail in the test, aren't they?
Yeah, I've seen a few of them fail. Yeah. Definitely.
Good few in your time.
Of course, yes. I don't think there's ever been a time there hasn't been a fail. Maybe one time I can remember in all the years of this. Since when did they bring it in? 2021 or 2, I think it was. That it was on Prime Video. I mean, they used to do it before, but the weigh-ins weren't screened. You know what I mean? They weren't.
My first one was Chris Shaw back in 2022. Scottish fighter. That was mine. That was the first time they stopped doing it twice, the hydration testing twice. So I was lucky my first one fighter was not the double hydration testing, because that would have been fucking hard to work around.
Yeah, I didn't really know what it was, because the weigh-ins used to be completely closed off. They didn't stream it, didn't even hear about it, and then you would just kind of get an update the day of the fight. And if people, or the day before, and if people failed, they could still come back on the day of the fight and take a test. Yeah, I think this system's better, but it causes headaches still. Anyway, what's up, everyone? Good to see you all in the chat. Got a new feature here with the comments on screen. So, yeah, try not to say anything too raunchy, because I'll have to delete your comment if it's I have a decent amount of decent level of free speech here, but if you say weird shit, I'll have to delete it. Anyway, I want to talk about the big news first of all, Pete. Of course, you saw this, I'm sure. 173 announced for Tokyo, November 16. We're going back to Ariaki Arena, which I think you enjoyed, didn't you?
I was well better than the last one, I thought, in my personal opinion. Obviously, not the fight-wise, it was just a better arena, and it was easier. What was it, 5 minutes away from the hotel?
Yeah, it was nice little walk.
Nice little
and
walk. Yeah.
The hotel itself was really nice. Good lobby area. Everyone could congregate, throughout the week. There was a lot of chit chat, just people sitting down, having beers or whatever, chilling out. Didn't really have that last time, did we? Because everyone was spread over 3 different hotels. Some of them were near the arena, right? And we were in like some random one next to McDonald's.
Oh my god. Yeah, that was like, you couldn't swing a cat in that room, could you?
Yeah.
Oh my god. That was the last one. That was a good hotel. The breakfast was good on that one, if you remember. That was a good breakfast.
Very good breakfast.
After the fight, giving Superleg pizza, that was pretty cool. And he came in, and I remember the first person he pointed to, he's like, "Oh, thank you." Like that. I always remember that. That was a class moment.
Yeah, I had a good sesh there after the event, right? I think there was about 100 people in the lobby just unwinding after a long week, and despite the staff very kindly asking everyone to stop, we did not stop.
Like one
until
I was just
you went to bed?
I went to bed. I was an early one. I think I went to bed about 1, and then just I couldn't sleep because the adrenaline from the event. And then I remember like Ricky sent me a photo, and like everyone was still down at the lobby, and yeah, I was like, I probably should have stayed up for that, to be fair.
Yeah, I think I was up till 5 or 6. It was daylight. Gustavo Ballart was there, FaceTiming his grandma with me. It's so fun, and talk, very random things. But then I had to get a flight at 9. I had to leave to get a flight at 9 a.m. It was pretty horrible. So I'll try and book better flights this time. But we're going back. Pre-sale ticket lottery open now. Don't know what that means.
But it all depends if you've got anyone on. But I would imagine there's a strong chance that somebody from Condition Nutrition will be on this card.
Well, you've got everyone now, so I think so.
It'd be a strong. I'm booking my flight anyway. I'm going.
Well, yeah, if you want to get in on the action, there's some sort of ticket lottery I'm seeing here on their website. You should go check it out. Some early bird prices. So get in on the action. I don't know what the prices cost yet. We'll see. But that's the big news, of course. But I guess what we're here to do is to try and think of some matchups that might work well for it. It is quite a while away. So if you could pick, Pete, who of your team would you want on there against who? Have you got any ideas?
Oh, there's a few. Let me think. So definitely got to get Rod Tang on there. Rod Tang's got to get back. He needs a fight camp. He needs to get back into the swing of things. Obviously, Haggerty, Nibils, not saying them two fighting each other, but like them two fighting again. And the Bella, obviously, that'd be nice to see. Trying trying to think who else. I'll forget names, and then people go, "Why didn't you mention me in the podcast?" There's. I'm trying to think who else would it be. Who
Well, John DeBella, I'd love to see against Prajanchai.
Yeah, that'd be. I think there's so many fights that you could make on that card. Like that, the last card was unreal. So, and no, I don't think anyone. Well, it's only June now. No one's fought since, have they? On the main card, well, like on the title fight. So, you'd imagine maybe Kanna's going to fight again on that card. Yeah, if they did.
So you could be a busy man, Pete. You could be.
Rod Tang, that would be a good for the kickboxing.
I agree. I'm going to throw out some of my ideas. I'm just going to jump in the chat quickly, catch up with comments. Shandy saying, "What's good, Sticky Nicky?" Yep, I'm good. Good to see Shandy and Nicola. All the comments are on the screen. I'll bring a few up here. Have you heard what the main event could be? Yeah, I will give my idea on the main event in a minute. This is interesting from Lewis. Surprised November fight night still happening. It's the week before 173. I didn't realize that.
Week before.
So yeah, I guess we'll have a busy couple of weeks there. Let me look.
Wow. You'd think they changed. Saying that, what was after? Wasn't there an event not long after Japan, or was that 2 weeks after? Wasn't it? Maybe like the event was on the Sunday for Japan, wasn't it? And then the following, not that the following Thursday, but the 10 days later, we had the weigh-ins for the April card, didn't we? With like Nico, Jarvis, I had Asa, that so it was like 10 days later, wasn't it?
Yeah, you mean the last Tokyo show, or the first one?
Yeah, the last
we went
Tokyo
to.
show. So the event was on the 23rd, wasn't it? And then 10 days later was the weigh-ins for the April show. So it wasn't that. It was quite a quick turnaround, wasn't it?
I think there was a show 2 weeks later.
Yeah,
or less than that. Yeah, it's like it was about 2 weeks, but the weigh-ins were about 10 days. So you're right. Yeah, it was tough turnaround. So yeah, it looks like this is going to be even tighter. 1 week will be. I guess we'll go straight from Bangkok to Tokyo then.
Straight off the flight, straight on the plane to Japan to go.
Let's see if I can swing this with my missus, given our newborn baby will be about a month old then. I'll have to ask. I've already been banned from the October fight night. She says I'm not going. So.
Oh yeah, because September, August. So what creeps up, doesn't it, mate? Like,
yeah,
not even that.
I won't be there.
Like, I remember when the Rod Tang, I started working with Rod Tang. It's like, right, we've got loads of time to fight Takaru, and then it just came around so quick.
It does happen. Well, you mentioned it as well, Rod Tang. Looking quite big, isn't he?
Yeah, he's you know what? It's up to him, isn't it? Like he knows he knows he's got me on board for next time, so maybe he thinks he can.
He's gonna get like super fat, isn't he? He's thinking Peter will help me, and you're like, actually, Rod Tang, you're too fat now.
He texts me, like we still text like regularly. And he texted me the other day, and I was like, "How are you getting on?" And he just sent me a picture of him with his belly out, and I was like, oh, "Mate, come on." I'm gonna try and see him soon. We're arranging to have a catch up. I'll see where he's at. But sometimes people just look really big on like videos and photos, and he's probably not even that big. He's probably still like when I first met him, I was like, fucking hell, he's big, but he was only 72 kilos. So I'll take 72 kilo all day. I probably reckon he's probably that. I reckon with enough time.
He's busy with Balotelli.
Yeah, Balotelli. Yeah, I think he was playing footy with him tonight, wasn't he, or something like that?
Well, he came around the house. I saw.
Yeah, I think he's been in Madrid, hasn't he? Because when the one got announced, I texted him like straight away saying, "Are we going to Japan?" But he hasn't seen me message yet. Let's see if he's. I think he's
ghosting you, huh?
Ghosting me. Rod Tang ghosting me. He's
All right.
I reckon he'd be on that card though. If I was to put money on.
If I was a
Don't-
betting man, yeah, I would think Rod Tang's on it. And my idea for Rod Tang would be, I think, Superleg.
Yeah.
The
I kind of
kickboxing
know.
title.
I've told you what I know about who he potentially could fight, but I don't want to mention it on here because I don't want to get in trouble. But yeah, I don't think that'd happen in Japan. That one.
What, Superleg and Rod Tang?
No, I think that could happen
Or
in
the
Japan.
others.
But the other one.
Well, there's so many things I hear about Rod Tang, who he's fighting.
Yeah.
I mean, there was something else I think you heard, which would make perfect sense for Japan. But again, I don't think we can talk about it.
Yeah, we're talking about. Oh yeah, the other one. Yeah. Yeah. I think the Superleg Rod Tang would be like that the one to make that. But would it be kickboxing or Muay Thai? I think I would prefer to see it in Muay Thai, but yeah.
Well, I think, yeah, the one that would really be great. Yeah, we can't talk about it, so we'll talk in the realms of reality right now. But
Yeah,
I think Superleg Rod Tang makes sense to me. Kickboxing belt, because I think you've had this Japan trilogy of Superleg versus Takaru and then Rod Tang versus Takaru. So you've set up that, I think, that title fight. You got to do it in Tokyo, complete the trilogy. And I think, Rod Tang loses, it doesn't really hurt him. If he loses again in Muay Thai to Superleg, it kind of hurts him because you then got to it's got to be for the belt. And then Rod Tang's not going to have the belt. I think they want to get the Muay Thai belt back on him. So I would keep Superleg the hell away from him in Muay Thai if it's doing fight. But if it's kickboxing, doesn't matter. So,
well, this is a conversation that we're having now. Can Superleg actually make flyweight? Can he do it now?
what are you thinking?
I wouldn't want him to do a business pitch, but if he came back on call and gave me a call, I'd say I think I could get him back on weight.
He hasn't got in touch with you yet?
No. Doors always open though. Doors always open. And Rod Tang even said to me, if I then ever end up fighting Superleg, he wouldn't mind me working with the pair of them. So
it's because they're best mates. They don't want to fight.
Probably eating the same food.
Yeah. Well, you did Superleg right in Tokyo that time we went, the first time to Ariaki, right? You had Superleg and Takaru. You did a bit more with Superleg, but it was just like a one-off, right?
Yeah, that was one reached out to me, said after, because I think he was originally meant to be fighting. Was he meant to fight Mahmoudi? And then it got changed, and then that's when he reached out to me, and then we had like 5 weeks to get him on weight, and no issues whatsoever. Like, yeah, pretty standard cuts, pass weight and hydration easy, and yeah, there was no issues at all. So
yeah,
obviously he's moved up since, and he might have been a bit more slack with his nutrition because he's like, well, I can walk around a little bit heavier. Yeah, well, even in Japan when I was speaking to him, because I've obviously still got a good relationship with him, and he was on my flight, and I was asking how he was, even though I was working with the Beal, and like I was like, how are you getting on? He's like, yeah, we only got a couple of kilos to go. I was like, yeah, cool. It's like, if you need anything, you can drop me a message or anything like that. And yeah, and then we see him fail. I was like, wow, he's failed and he's moved up a weight. Because it blows me on that people have done it so many times and they failed hydration. That's what, like, I don't get. You've done it that many times. He's like, he surely must have took note of what we did the last time and gone, right, maybe follow what Pete did in terms of how to pass the hydration. Then he just must have done it his own way. And yeah, because it's unfortunate, really, because if I'd have been there at the time, I'd have probably tried to help him because we want that fight to happen. And I kind of look at it now and go, I wish I was there because that title fight would eventually, that would have been a title fight in the end, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a little bit like,
because you were working with Nibils, obviously.
Yeah, working with the Beal for a couple of years now. So like looking back in hindsight, I wish I was like around the weigh-ins at the time because everyone had weighed in and at least
You
like
just
kind of
left.
yeah, kind of. I wish I would have, like if I see them, would have guarded and say, look, do this, and then we'd have had the title fight there. I'm not saying when you fail hydration the first time, it is difficult to claw it back, but I'd have given me best possible advice for him to pass it the second time around, but shoulda, woulda, coulda kind of thing.
Interesting. Well, yeah, because he fought, I think 2 times after you and him worked together. He fought Contorni, he fought Haggerty.
Yeah.
So he's on weight for both of those, and one of them was flyweight, one was bantamweight. So I thought, I was a bit baffled he missed, but I think he's saying all these things. I don't know how much of it's true, but he's saying he was sick, he was injured, various things. So maybe it seems to me something was off. Yeah, definitely. But
it's a shame, really. Like, not even from a business point of view, but like someone you work with, you see them fail, and you're like, oh, like that fight, that was such a big fight, and then end up kind of being just a 3-rounder. It kind of took the steam out of the whole thing, and to see like Nabil and Mehdi, and Nabil was really like upset. Obviously, he's trained so hard, he's done so much during Ramadan. Same with Mehdi, and then they kind of just got a 3-rounder. It's not, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunate. Superleg does have a lot of options. We'll talk about some of those. Chester, though, showing some love to Pete, saying Superleg under Pete's supervision is my favorite Superleg. I agree. I think he looked really damn good when he's working with you, just like Rod Tang did. It's obviously he looked great against Haggerty, but we don't know because it was about a minute. But
and like the thing is with nutrition, it's not completely changing the game, just them little percentages, and us helping him with his weight cut, and that could have added 10-20% of his game.
Absolutely. MP Ong is asking, who is he? Condition and nutrition, Peter. You want to tell him who you are?
Yeah. So I'm a nutritionist. A lot of the fights on One Championship. I've worked with 9 One World Champions: Haggerty, Nabil, Superleg, Rod Tang, Debele, Triller, Pechida, Joshua Pasha, and a lot more one fighters. So I'm the guy who helps them get on weight and pass hydration. That's my.
Any Burmese fighters?
No, I don't think. I've had a couple of inquiries by people. Onglang reached out about potentially working together for his next fight. I think that's it, really.
Yeah, I think MP Ong may know Onglan Sang. So could be a dream collab coming up there for Myanmar. I'm a nutritionist. No, I'm the nutritionist. That's what you should be saying, according to story of the fight. Yeah. It is basically you are the one in one. You get everything working in one championship for sure. There were so many cards that would have like 5 fights if you weren't on them, Pete.
Yeah, and I think like for me, when people are looking to join us on ones, like we've I've done so many times now. Like I'm at every event. Like we've got the system of weight and hydration down to a T. Like the first time I ever had someone, the second time I ever had someone on one and they failed the hydration, that was like early days of doing it. Now we've done I think we've done like 120, 130 weight cuts in one. And yeah, we don't have any issues with that side of things now. So just practice, keep on fine-tuning things, and yeah, we get the results.
Any potential for a little Burmese discount? Jasmine asking, for the summer.
They might be able to afford me prices anyway without a discount, so they just drop me
pick up the phone.
Drop me a DM, we can discuss.
MP Ong says, yeah, Solinu's been failing a few times now. Any quick tips? Well, I think Solinu's going to have to message Peter, MP Ong.
Yeah, it's hard to say when any quick tips for him to do. It's so individual. I wouldn't like to go, oh, you need to do this, X, Y, and Z when we don't know his current situation. It might just require a couple of tweaks. to what he does on fight week, on the weight cut day. So yeah, I couldn't give specific tips right now without knowing the situation.
Sam Cat also paying homage to Pete, saying Rod Tang's in such good shape. Thank you. Hope we see Rod Tang and Haggerty for sure. Yeah, do you think that fight could happen in Japan? Maybe.
I personally like work with John for years now, and work with obviously Rod Tang for the period of time. I just don't that fight just doesn't entertain me right now. Right now, anyway, that's not a fight that I look at and go, like, John's a lot bigger than Rod Tang. I think Rod Tang should stick to flyweight. John carries on doing what he does at bantamweight. John's got lots of potential options at that weight class. I just don't see like a Rod Tang moved up. I just don't think right now it's a fight that I go, yeah, that's something that you like really need to be made. I think they've both got better options for the time being.
There are so many options. Chester, another of my members, what's up? Throwing a few ideas out here. Superbomb versus Noiri, Tawanchai versus Vampire Coyote, Yukioza versus Rui, Enahachi versus Petanong, and obviously JDB versus Prajanchai. I like all of those.
I like all those apart from the Yoza and Rui one. I could probably think of, like, not say a better opponent, but a better matchup to that.
Well, I feel Yuki needs a top 5 now, so it's going to be one of those guys, Wei Rui, Enahachi, or Petanong, probably.
Yeah.
Or you could just run him straight to Haggerty. I don't think I'd have any problem with that, given he's a champion in K1 before, vacated the belt there, didn't even lose it there. He's obviously, his pedigree is incredible. I would have no problem just going, right, John, Yuki, title fight.
Yeah, really good fight. And John will accept any fight.
John was saying on his Instagram that he's entering fight camp soon.
Well, he is back on a plan with me right now, but there's no confirmation as of yet of anything. But I think he just wants to tick over, just get training and dialing in his nutrition.
Are you hoping it's not John and Nabil? Because you're going to have to do both.
It's one of them. When if that happens, you just kind of cross that bridge when it comes to it. Obviously got such a good relationship with both. It's a great fight for like the fans, but yeah, it's a weird one. It's definitely a weird one.
Yes, Chester. Another message from one of my wonderful members, Chester, saying he'd like to see some MMA title movement as well. Tenkai and Akbar Abdullayev too. Fabricio Andrade and Enk Ogo Bataku as well. I don't know. We'll see those on Japan, but I think could see Fabricio. He definitely needs another fight.
I think I imagine Japanese opponent, wouldn't we? You'd imagine if it was in like them fights don't like stand out as like something that you'd have on in Japan, in my opinion, anyway.
I agree. For me, if you're MMA, I'm gonna propose these fights for the MMA. I'm gonna suggest Yuya Wakamatsu, who won the belt last time in Japan, defends against Reese McLaren. I think that's probably the only challenger available in flyweight, realistically. And then I had another one in my head. I've forgotten it already. Maybe I'll come back to it. But that's the big one. I think that should be the priority for Japanese MMA. Obviously, yeah, we haven't really discussed Superbon and Nori. I think is a lock for that card. That's why I haven't really discussed it. I think that will be the main event. GSP here asking Superleg versus Yukioza, or do you want to see a rematch of him and Takaru? I'd rather see.
Yeah, I think the ticket. I think that was a clear winner. I wouldn't see any. There's no need for the rematch there, in my opinion. I thought.
Yeah, I don't know what you do with Takaru now.
Every round on the third, was it, where he ate him?
Yeah.
Apart from that, I think he schooled him in every round. Really, in my opinion. A little bit biased, like, but.
Well, yeah, I think you could do Takaru against either DiBella in a catch weight, or maybe I don't know. Would John go up to flyweight? Would you recommend not?
I think if that opportunity came about, I can't see why John would say no to that. I think it's a great fight.
And he's
I
got
don't think
6 months now to put on some muscle, maybe, or 5 months.
Size wise, like John's not a small strawweight. He doesn't cut a lot of weight, but he's got a decent frame on, so we can definitely be able to focus on something for the next few months if that was to happen. I think that's a good fight. I think that's a really good fight.
I think that's a good fight. The only other way I could see them not doing that, I would maybe go JDB against Prajanchai.
Yeah.
The rematch for the unification, and Takaru against. I like this call out that Taiki Naito did with me a couple of weeks ago.
Really impressive the other day, I thought. It was really.
He was.
Really by him.
And I like that he's trying to make a name for himself. And in Japan, you don't really call people out. It's not the done thing. He's been bold, and he's had a lot of.
Did he train in Thailand, or did he train in Japan? Have I got that wrong?
He was training at Superbond's gym for a while. Not for this fight.
Okay.
I think he went back to Japan for this one. I think it's a little difficult because he's in the same division with now Nongo and Johan Ghazali. I feel like they probably maybe don't say it, but you kind of get the opinion. You can't hang around there, right? Because they definitely may match up Ghazali with Taiki at some point. I could see that happening. But if he had one against Diego Paez,
that's a fight right now for him. I think, yeah. But
we'll see. All right, I will go back down to the chat. What I've missed on this. What do you think weight class is better for Rod Tang? Sam Cat is asking.
Flyweight, absolutely, no question.
Yeah, I agree.
No question about it.
Yeah, I think until Nabil moves up, I think Rod Tang could hang in bantamweight. Without.
I think height-wise, Rod Tang's potentially too small for bantamweight, in my opinion. I think he's not that tall, and you're up against the likes of Nabil. Like when people say, "Oh, Nabil and Rod Tang would be a great fight," like no, it wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? It's not like not in terms of like what'll happen. It's a complete mismatch in height. It just wouldn't make any sense.
It would be bizarre. I like him at flyweight. I think he looked the best he's ever looked with you.
Yeah, he's had no issues, so yeah.
Alexander Vasic suggesting some MMA matchups for this card. Jabir Jabrailov against Tetsuka. Shozo Isojima against Adrian Lee. Could happen. Tetsuya, another member, what's up? Saying one should include a clause in the contract that all champions need to work with you, Pete. Champs frequently losing belts on the scale is just embarrassing for one. What do you think?
You never know. We could have some news coming soon. You never know.
You never know. Well, I think the more champions that work with you, the more title fights will go ahead. But
on that last comment, the guy, what's his name? I'm really bad at pronouncing. Does he? The first guy, I can't pronounce
Jabir Jabrailov.
Yeah, he reached out to me after because he fought last week, didn't he?
Yeah,
he reached out. He said he wants to work together in our next fight. So he looked really good.
Yeah, he looked very good.
Wow,
20 years old, 3 knockouts in a minute or so.
Yeah, absolute unit.
Yeah, he missed weight and he wants to go up to welterweight, so that makes sense. I could see him being a big problem. All right, isn't Petsnon going to fight Yukioza? Gorillas are cool animals. Suggest that could happen. I don't know. Yukioza said he's got a fight booked. So I haven't heard who it is. Tetsuya again. As Nabil's walking weight is around 70 kg, does it mean he could still make 61 if he had to?
No, it doesn't really mean that way. And that's just the days of Nabil fighting at 61 are long gone. That was one of the best decisions.
Yeah, but he could stay where he is now, right?
Yeah, and I think people get mistaken with just because someone's not too far off the other weight class, it's like automatically, oh, he can get lower. It doesn't really work like that. It's, it depends on so many factors like your sweat rate, your body composition. So just because he's only 9 kilos out doesn't mean that, a 9 kilos from 61, that's the option that should be taken. Because there's pros and cons to everything, where like he fights a bantamweight, he just ticks over. We dial everything in for the final few weeks, but then if he was to fight at 61, it'd be the case where we'd have to be more restricted with the diet, and then energy levels get affected, and calm, sleep, mood. So there's all these kind of pros and cons you got to weigh up, and like him fighting at 61 is just not worth it, basically.
Best decision he made, you were saying?
Yeah, like me and Mehdi spoke about it for a while, saying like it was a wise decision. Then he fought. So the first fight I worked with Nabil was when he fought Nakrob. That was at 61, and then Muay Thai was a catch weight. I think that was like 63, if I'm not mistaken. And then that's when he moved up, I think, from memory. We've done like 7 camps together, me, Nabil, but I think that's what happened. And then, yeah, definitely wise move. Like, look at him now; he's still a grown man. Like he's still growing into his body still, and yeah, no 9 kilo cuts for Nabil anymore.
Yeah, I think he will still probably go up right one day to at least featherweight.
It's inevitable that in the future he'll go. But he's still got a few fights left at bantamweight for sure.
Right, back to the chat. Asking me to be the whistleblower here, MP why is one almost entirely discarded MMA? Well, we discussed it a lot. I think obviously Muay Thai became the big thing. They did cards in Thailand more than anywhere else. MMA purses are more expensive than Muay Thai purses, and yeah, I think a lot of the fighters they have who are on big purses, yeah, that's not. They don't have the budget, I guess, to have them on every couple months like they have these Muay Thai fighters. So they tend to only get 1 or 2 fights a year at the moment, which upsets them. Whereas if you're in Muay Thai, you can still kind of get 3 or 4. It's just different from how it used to be. They are bringing through new MMA on lower purses, which I think is more of a financially sustainable ecosystem to create. Guys like Jabir Jabrailov, who we just mentioned, he's probably on a very low purse, but they found him. He looks like a rough diamond, or diamond in the rough, whatever the phrase is. That's got to be the model, I think, Pete, for how the MMA goes forward. Find these guys when they're young and they're cheap, and you build them up yourself.
And especially with him as well, he was all on his feet, wasn't he? Like, he was entertaining. So that's like a lot, like that type of MMA would be entertaining in Thailand on the card. It's unfortunately, when they don't know, the Thai fans don't really know about like the ground game. When it becomes like just on the ground, there's not really a lot of entertainment. For the MMA was like that, stand up, swinging. Them type of fighters will entertain, especially in the Thai crowds.
Yeah, agree 100%. Shout out to Combat Sports Today, another of my members. Thanks so much. Phil is in the house. Takaru against Jiao Suyai suggests Tetsuya, another member, saying very interesting but risky. Maybe Surianlek against Takaru. I don't know. I think you got to go big or go home with Takaru now. You can't give him a complete layup. For me, it's either JDB or Taiki Naito. You can't just throw a can at him. I'm not saying Surianlek's a can, far from it. I just mean you got to give him someone with name value, and I think Surianlek, it would be too much like that Tanzin fight. I know Surianlek beat Tanzin, but I think it would be.
Does it risk though him if you give him a big name? Does it risk him losing again in Japan in front of his home crowd?
Well, if he loses, I think it's time to hang up the gloves, because
Like, would they give him an easier fight because it's like this could be potentially his final fight? This is like we want him to actually, if they give him, like, I'd love to have him fight John DeBella. That would be amazing, and maybe like to have that fight
What's
happen.
what you mean? Yeah.
Would they take that fight because there's a very, very strong chance that he could lose that fight, and then he loses again.
I think he should beat DeBella, and he should beat Taki Naito if he is who he says he is. Right? That's how you sell tickets. I don't think you sell tickets with Takaru against Superleg. You know,
Definitely, but maybe Noiri's the kind of, because he's the champ now. That's the, I don't know.
But Takaru's still the golden goose. He's on the Dragon Ball Z adverts and the whiskey bottles. So
yeah,
you got to be creative with the matchmaking. There's got to be enough risk that people are invested that they think he might lose. Still, there's a risk. That's how I would do it. But they could go. I mean, they've given layups to other people, plenty of people. You know, like our good friend Rod Tang has had a few fights in his time that were not the toughest fights, perhaps. You know, Edgar Tabarez, our other good friend. Maybe you could say.
Yeah. Sure.
But we'll see. We'll see what the market wants for Takaru. If they just want him to smash someone, then sure, you could dip into the Muay Thai ranks, find someone who's sort of dangerous enough, like Superleg. I'm not against it. All right. Chester agrees with Tetsuya. I don't know what that was in reference to. Soldich's purse could pay 300 Thai fighters on Friday fights. Yeah, that's the thing. You've got to be smart about budgets now. You know, that's just a reality.
How much is he meant to be on?
Soldich. I'll tell you off screen.
So a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, yeah.
Wow.
I don't think it's been disclosed, so I don't want to say what I think, what I've heard of this, but it is a lot of money. And it's okay if you have the finances to back it up, but I think one is still striving for profitability, still looking for investment. When you're in that situation, I think you gotta take care of the pennies, you know, whatever that phrase is, and then something will take care of itself. Did you see the UFC started a BJJ league with Mikey? Yeah, I saw that. I think it starts tomorrow. I won't be watching, but good luck. I like Mikey. Yeah, all the best to him. Sad. I wish he was still in one. I'm not a big grappling guy, you know, so I won't watch it, but I'm happy for him if he's happy. Right. Keith. Hello, Keith. Another member shout out says it's going to be harder to build up MMA fighters now. Fight night is only 8 fights. I got to be honest, Pete. I love the short fight night cards. I don't think it really affects you, but you're not there, are you?
If I've got someone on, I'll go. But then sometimes I'm just like, it's too much effort to go down.
I just love it. We get a bit more of a lie-in. You know, it doesn't start till 8. It would even go, I think, till 9 a.m. You know, when the clocks, whatever, switch later in the year. And we get, about 8 fights. You're out of there by 11:30, back at the hotel, midday 1.
I like my shift on a Saturday. Like, sometimes I've just got too much work on to go to the fight, so I'll just get on the TV, laptop doing me plans, strong coffee, a Bartels ham and cheese toasty, and I'm just watching the fights. That's like my perfect Saturday morning.
Beautiful.
Living the dream.
What's the Bartels? Is that from 7-Eleven?
No, Bartels is like it's like a cafe, and it does like toasted sandwiches, like Reubens and all that kind of stuff. So,
beautiful.
Yeah, it's a good Saturday morning.
Had an outrageous sandwich today. If you do come to Hong Kong, Pete was telling me he may come. I'll take him to this sandwich place. I don't know if you can see. I'm gonna hold it towards the camera. This is pastrami. It's like a layer upon layer of pastrami. Yeah.
Was it as nice as the sandwiches in Denver? Where did we go to?
Oh, Snaps. Different kind, yeah, but that was a good Subway type sandwich. Yeah, sub.
It's the size of that.
Yeah, outrageous. I think.
Outrageous.
How many? We went about 3 days in a row. Yeah.
For all the viewers, me and Nick shared the room with them for like 12 days.
Shocking.
So we were going to Snarf. How many times did we go? Yeah.
Definitely 3.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was just telling because when I had my beard trimmed today, I'd always talk to my barber about, work, and we'll talk about Japan, and I said, oh, we were meant to be in Denver next month. We would have been there like late next month, right?
I'm kind of
quite
happy
sad. You're happy?
It was the journey, mate. That was a long. I went from Australia the night, and that took me. Yeah. When you see me at the airport, you got that photo. I just look like I'd been up for about 5 days, just like sweaty. Just five different flights. It was that wasn't
it was pretty horrible. But I had a nice plan. I was gonna go straight to New York.
Yeah, you wasn't
for a weekend and hang out there for a few days and then move on to Colorado. But maybe next summer. It's still on the schedule. I saw earlier for. Here it is. I can put it back on screen. Yeah, it's still there. June 26th, 2026. 1 Denver. Hopefully it happens.
Yeah, because we went out didn't we go? We went out quite early, didn't we? I think we went out like a week, 10 days before. Just
to acclimatize.
Yeah.
Bit. It did help me a lot that we had. I think we got the weekend before, and we went to see Haggerty. Yeah, John, and that was fun. And you got to see Liam as well, right?
Hostel, weren't we? At first, it was a hostel. Yeah.
I found a card for that in my wallet the other day. I must have stolen it by accident. Sorry, I forgot what it's called.
We went to that place. Yeah. It was a good. It wasn't a particularly great trip because everyone lost, unfortunately. But it was a good experience. But it was just a long journey for me. Like if it was on, I'd go. But it wasn't the best of journeys to get there.
No, but I would kind of like it to happen just to have that big fight feel. Yeah, to tide us over till November.
I think before we peaked that for me. The start of the year was like I was saying to Giuliano too. It was like our filming guy. We had January card. We had the 2 cards in January. Then the February cards I had Ellis was fighting Prajanchai, and then it was the March card was a decent card. Then it was Japan, Doha. Doha was in February. Sorry, it was like within 6 weeks there was like 4, 5, 6 title fights on. Like it was an insane start to the year, and ever since Japan, it's kind of gone like there's nothing. I've been sitting in my condo thinking we haven't got another fight for 5 weeks. What do I do with myself here? So I'll take it on.
Well, yeah, I'd like something in between. It was too much at the start. Now there's too little. It was a pretty brutal run. I think the Doha is what killed me. That was like the toughest trip.
I'm trying to think what the toughest one. One, it was Japan for me. Do you remember I decided to stay an extra day for no reason? I had to stay in the airport all day. And I was in the airport.
Well, Japan was a total disaster for me. So I'm going to be booking it very, very in advance this time and getting everything lined up.
Yeah,
I lost a lot of money there.
Ariaki, that was like a reasonable location because the train went straight through into the city, didn't it? From memory.
I got a bus from the airport to pretty much outside the hotel in half an hour or something, or less. Yeah, it's pretty easy. Yeah, the problem is it's far away though from the good stuff in Tokyo.
Yeah.
So if you want to go to town, you got to travel about 45 minutes to an hour on the train. Maybe not an hour. That's.
No, well, I don't think it's too long. I think it's about half an hour from where.
Yeah, half hour. Okay.
That's really cool.
We could do that. Yeah. All right. Let me. Lewis gonna. So Lewis gonna come to the October show. I won't be there. Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna be on some sort of self-imposed paternity leave. But You should delay it till November, Lewis, and then just come to Japan. That'll be better. Yeah, screw Bangkok. Let's go to Japan. Let's go to Tokyo. Tetsuya likes Takaru and Mahmoudi. That guy knocked Naito out with dengue fever. Yeah, it's a monster. He's back in the rankings.
that'd be a really good fight. Really good fight.
Yeah, what do you think of this? So I don't know if you work with Hugh, because you work with Mehdi a lot, but
yeah,
Hugh was taken out of the rankings and just Mahmoudi went back into the kickboxing ranking.
Interesting.
Yeah, there it is. Number 3. A lot of people are unhappy about this on my Instagram comments. Don't shoot the messenger. I just put it out there, but
I'm trying to think who else should be in that rankings. What are people complaining about you going out the rankings?
Well, they're saying, Tagir is 0-1 in kickboxing and hasn't fought in 4 years or something in kickboxing, but he's number 5.
Yeah. But you know what, mate? Like, some of them rankings don't make any sense. Like, as much as I think he's a good fighter, but I didn't think Johannes Stupjan was a top 5 ranked fighter in the flyweight division. That was
I've had these battles,
sense, but yeah, I didn't think that really made a lot of sense. So I suppose the rankings are always going to cause people to have a difference of opinion, aren't they?
Well, I'm on the panel, and what I submit usually looks nothing like what is decided upon, and I do it just because why not? But I do think there are some questionable things there. Yeah. I would not have put a Stupin on there. For me, I would have just put, I would have kept Mahmoudi in there and Dennis Porch.
Yeah,
Dennis was bounced. Dennis should have gone back in after. If you take Mahmoudi out for failing a drug test, you've got to put the guy he beat back in. And then Dennis lost to Jiao Suyai, so you then put Jiao Suyai in. But the main thing that sort of holds it up is you have to be contracted. So a lot of people want to see these Friday Fights guys in there, and I think some of those guys on Friday Fights could make a strong case for them being in this kickboxing one here.
Yeah.
But they don't have a contract. So the Hugh, that was I guess I thought he had a contract. Mehdi said he did. Yeah. But to be taken out, and to me that's just maybe he doesn't have a contract. I don't know what's going on there, because you would probably put him in. Definitely, I would put him in over. No disrespect to Tagir, he had a nice win the other week in Muay Thai, but I definitely have Hugh number 5.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on with Hugh. We'll see. Maybe I'll message old Mehdi. Taiwan Chai, NG's asking, maybe, could be Taiwan Chai. But I'd probably do that one in Bangkok if it's him against
the December card. So that would be start of December, the final one of the year.
It is December 6th.
I think that's the same date as that. Do you remember that really good card, December, like a year and a half ago, where it was like a random kind of mixed match?
Yeah.
Luke was on the card, Jacob Ellis was on it.
I wasn't there for that one, actually. That was the one I was in between jobs. But
yeah, that was it.
I liked the card. I watched it at home. It was very good.
Yeah, that was. I was actually going to say something. Well, when I had 5 people on, and everyone was doing the weight making process together, and it was just quite a cool thing where it was like Eunice, Luke, Jacob, Ellis, and we were all in the same. It was just did all different personalities. It was quite cool to like bring them all together thing.
You had Jojo as well, did you, on that one?
Yeah, but yeah, you know what happened though with that. But he was a young lad.
Yeah, well, not going too well for Jojo at the moment.
I think he's only young, isn't he? Like, I think he's been built up. He's obviously a good fighter because he won a contract. I think he just needs to just have a few more fighters, not saying like one Friday fight, but that kind of level. I think he just needs to just learn his trade. He's still young, isn't he? There's no rush to like bump him up and have him fighting, ranked people. In my opinion, anyway, I think there's no rush.
Yeah, I agree. I think I said it on the last show or the recap I did of the fight night. I said maybe they rushed him up from Friday fights. He could have done with another couple of years to just cook a little bit more there. No, I think they wanted to put the rocket on him because they saw star.
He's a marketable person. Like he's a good looking chap. He's he has the swagger about him. Like he would be a superstar eventually, but I think he just needs to have a few more fights at that at a different level that he's at now. And I don't have any doubt that if he does a few more fights like that, he'll then be able to fight it like a ranked fighter.
Yeah, I'm sure. All the best for Jojo. We'll see what unfolds for him. Nice guy. I know a lot of people are talking shit about him at the moment, but I love every interaction I have with him.
You doing at 18? I was doing absolutely fuck all with me life at 18. So you know what I mean? Like I'd probably come across as a knob at 18 years old. Like he's only a young lad, isn't he?
Yeah, it's difficult. I think people need to remember that.
Yeah.
Did you see Joshua Van on the UFC show? Yeah, I did. I like him a lot. I'm a fan. MP Ong. I'm just getting through the chat here. We're going to hang around for another 5 minutes, I think. Just doing an hour or so today. Pete, we had an early start time. Yeah, Pete wants to get off to bed.
I'm an early bird. Gym at half the morning.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind an early finish as well. I will be back on Wednesday, I believe. I'm trying to line up some interviews for that. Can't delay it. Got school. All right, well, we'll try and meet up in the future, Lewis. Our rankings don't matter. Combat sports today. Dick is asking, are other trainers trying to steal your secrets, Pete?
The way I look at the hydration thing, if you're educated in nutrition and sports science, doing the hydration test shouldn't be an issue to anyone. It's people who are trying to do it without kind of any background knowledge. That's when you have issues and you try and just like copycat things, which I've seen before and you've seen before yourself, where people have just come in and go, oh, I've just watched this. There's a video surfacing on YouTube and this is what you need to do, without really understanding the physiology of the body and water balance and the right things you need to do. But I'm not a brain surgeon. I'm not cracking code. It's a relatively simple process, but I've just done it that many times. I know what I'm doing. I'm confident to know what to do.
Why do so many people fail hydration?
It's probably a couple of things where they haven't got the right advice. A lot, like it's shocking how many fighters haven't got a nutritionist, like at the top level. Like these some people are fighting for world titles and they haven't even got a nutrition coach. It seems absolutely wild to me. So then it comes to the case where they're winging this hydration. They go, well, I've heard so and so told me to drink X amount of fluid, X amount of time before I do the weight cut, and they just wing it. And then it's not, even though I said the hydration test it's definitely a flawed test, not something I would recommend having in an organization, but it's relatively simple to pass if you know what you're doing. The problem is it's when you fail the first time, and if you've cut a decent amount of weight, it's very difficult to pass it again. So then what ends up happening is fighters are drinking fluid, they're going to pee again, they're failing, and they're drinking more fluid, and then you're messing up with your electrolyte balance and your fluid balance in the body. That's where it becomes dangerous. It's not particularly dangerous if you just do it right the first time. It's when you fail multiple times, you're going backwards and forwards, drinking fluid, cutting the weight, drinking fluid, cutting the weight. So it just seems wild to me that fighters don't have a nutritionist at that kind of level. Like how many fights have we seen, world title fights that are not world title fight anymore because they fail hydration? It just seems just investing in a nutritionist. I just don't get it, mate. We're not charging £10,000 for the nutrition plan. It's not like a a stupidly expensive service, but these guys think, oh, I can do it by myself, and sometimes it goes wrong.
Often goes wrong. Yeah, I would say anyone who wants to do it the right way, just speak to Pete. They end up coming back to you one way or another.
Yeah.
Right.
Full
Alive, bred. Yeah, full circle. 1173 at Impact Arena. I agree that should have been the plan, and then something else in Japan. MP Ong, loved your accent, Pete. How do I get that sexy accent? I'm an accent nerd.
You have to grow up in the streets of Liverpool, and then even though I've lived away from Liverpool for close to 8 years now, the accent is still as strong as ever. Doesn't go away. But it's also a daily challenge because no one can understand me a lot of the time.
Yeah, I understand you, but I grew up in England and I know a lot of Scousers and watched a lot of Scouse footballers speaking regularly. But I imagine it's difficult for some of the fighters, right?
Yeah, when I send a lot of voice notes to my fighters, just so it's just easier for communicating, and I forget sometimes when I'm talking on something. I talk really quick. And then a couple of times, even like Australian clients have said, I had to listen to that like 3 or 4 times to get what you were saying. It's like, I'm sorry, I'll slow down a little bit.
It happens. All right, last one here because we got to go. Tetsuya says, Pete, what do you think about daily long distance running most Thai fighters do? Liam Harrison and Petznong say it's unnecessary and there are better alternatives.
From someone who's not like an S&C coach or personal trainer, like my point of view is like it's not really necessary. Like, and I think we had a chat about this on a podcast ages ago when we were talking about like the Thai training, where there's no real science behind it. It's like you just go and run. That's just what we do. That's just like that's what my coach did. That's what his coach did, and his coach did, and it's just like ingrained in the culture of Thailand, rather than being like a scientific rationale behind it. And the problems you get at that, if you're running 5-10K every day, then you're training, and then you're training again in the afternoon, you're just gonna run the risk of getting injuries. You're gonna run the risk of just feeling absolutely shattered. Sleep's gonna be affected, moods. So, and that just compounds over time if you're doing that all the time. So, luckily now a lot of fighters in Thailand are using like S&C coaches, like work with Kong Tony and Rambo Lek. They work with a guy called Jeff, and like he uses the Western methods from Canada. So a lot of the Thai fighters now are starting to use like a Western approach, but a lot of them still do the running every single day, which is, yeah, it's not necessary.
It is not. I always fear the worst when I see the sweatsuit on, running around the hotel, a Thai fighter on the day of the weigh-ins, you know.
Well, not even the sweatsuit on the day of the weigh-in, the sweatsuit on like the Monday before weigh-ins, and you're like, why are you doing that? Like, it just runs a risk of like so many things that could go wrong in that. But that could. You're
right. When because we'll be sitting in the restaurant, and they'll come past that window in the sweatsuit, and you think it's a Monday or a Tuesday or something. You know, oh my god, we're in trouble here.
Well, the thing is as well, like this is a theory that it's not really backed properly by science, but there's a theory about called like sweat gland fatigue, where if you think of like a weight cut scenario, if you're a fighter, you listen to this and you've like been running a sweatsuit all week on fight week constantly, and then it comes to the actual weight cut. There's times where the fighter just doesn't sweat. Like I've been sweating all week, but it comes to the actual weight cut and I just can't sweat. And like there is a mechanism where the sweat glands can get fatigued, so sweat rate gets reduced, and there's all these things that can come into play where like the education side of things in Thailand, where these fighters will just run in sweatsuits constantly, and they don't realise that it could actually be could have a negative impact on the weight cut rather than positive.
Well, it's informative as always when Pete's on the show. Thanks, Pete. Sorry if I didn't get to all your questions in the chat. We're leaving it an hour. Pete wants to get off to bed. So I'm sure we'll have you. We'll have you back.
Yeah, what time is it? It's 9:30. Yeah, Pete goes to bed at 9:30.
Yeah. It's all right. I remember in Denver, you were an early bird. I would be coming in the door about 2 a.m.
You'd be
from the pub.
coming in.
Yeah, yeah. We were crossing in the night. No, I appreciate it. Thanks, Pete, for coming on, and enjoy. What you got coming up? Anything good?
I've got a bit of filming to do with Giuliano, our filming guy, tomorrow. Creating a little project that we're going to do, like a school community. We're going to be like pumping out content for fighters to subscribe and stuff like that. So, yeah, a few exciting things coming down in the pipeline, which is so more fighters can access information about weight cutting and just general nutrition. So, I'm going to be doing some filming on that tomorrow.
All right.
So
I hope it goes well.
Stay tuned, everyone.
Yep. You can get him on Instagram, Condition Nutrition. I think it's the same handle. YouTube as well. Give his YouTube a follow. You got some more stuff coming up there, right?
Some fight week vlogs. Yeah, got a few fight week vlogs if people are interested in seeing, and like what we did with Rod Tang in Japan, Doha. Got a few fight week vlogs, so people want to see the behind the scenes of what we do, and how we make weight and hydration and play FIFA. Yeah, check it out.
Yes, good content. We use the same video guy, Giuliano. So if you enjoy his stuff on my channel, he does. It's even better on Pete's. I'm sure. Okay. Yes, thank you, Pete. And we'll see you soon, everyone in the chat. Thanks. I'll be back on Wednesday. I'll try and line up some more guests, and we will hopefully have some more news to talk about. It wasn't much news today, but it was entertaining as always. Thank you very much, Mr. Nutrition. Always a pleasure.
Peace.
All right. I'm ending.